That's definitely what I was going for, John. Hey, Mark. And unfortunately, I'm done with a silo now for the year, probably. Got it out of my system this weekend. I saw a lot of good stuff on the trip. There's still more vlogs to come, so stay tuned. Because I got like 5 vlogs out of that. 6 if I like piece one together that I kind of shot on the way back. So that's always nice. It allows me to take a little time off and just kind of do some stuff I want to do, or, rather than having to focus on vlogging all the time. Yeah, no, it was a blast. I like I said, I've wanted to see the Alamo for forever. That's sort of a legendary thing that goes with Texas, like barbecue and HEB. And I've wanted to see it for a long time, and you know, there's just been a lot of interesting news about the Alamo in recent months that just said now is the time. It was nice being the hotel I stayed at was literally like 100 yards from the Alamo, and it was like maybe 300 yards from the Riverwalk, and there's a weird little like outdoor mall almost right there on the property with the Alamo, with restaurants and shops and stuff like that. So you know what, I was able to keep myself entertained, and except for a couple of days where I went places that required me to drive or something. I just kind of hung out around in and around the Alamo, and that was kind of fun. Hey, Rhonda. Why the thing that I think surprised me about the Alamo the most is how much of it isn't actually there anymore. They've got just the kind of the main church location there and a very small part of the property, but a lot of the surrounding territory, unfortunately, has taken over. Most of it. No, actually, this time I splurged a little bit, John. The hotel I was in was actually a nice sized room. It had a beautiful view, uh, a lot of space in there. It had a kitchen, and yeah, I kind of splurged a little bit on this one. So ate good food rather than checked out different restaurants in the area and had some good food. But it was funny, the first day I was there, I actually shot the first three vlogs. So the one at the Alamo that's coming up, that you already saw. Um, the next one, which is kind of just in the general vicinity of the Alamo, you'll see on what, Thursday, and the Riverwalk, which I wanted to do. I've heard so much about that area. I had to check that out. That was really nice. And I did that on the same day, and you'll see that on Saturday. Plus, I got two more after that. I think next time I will pay a little bit more attention to the route that I took. When I went from Waco to San Antonio, it just took me down the interstate. That was a really boring drive. That was not a fun drive at all. There's no scenery. It's just you're in one city and you're in the next city, and it's the traffic and the construction and all that. So I realized that on the way back, um, that I was going to take another route back, and it took me another hour to get home. But I don't know. It was a more pleasant drive. There was less traffic, and it was kind of fun checking out some of the small towns. Yeah, I didn't actually stay on the river walk, but I was close enough to it that I could walk to the river walk. Wouldn't want to drive to the river walk. That just is wrong. That'd be madness, right? Madness, all right? Bye. I guess one of the surprises on the trip is how many really amazing cave systems that there are in Texas. Because that was a big part of what I wanted to do in San Antonio was visit some caves. So, there's a couple of caves that I visited. Actually, did those on the same day too. I was on my way to a third one, but I couldn't get into the third one because it was a Monday? No, it was a Tuesday, and there's just no business there on a Tuesday, and they couldn't justify doing a tour for a single person. So, oh well, maybe next time. That just gives me a reason to go back, right? But I saw one of the most amazing caves there that I've ever seen in my life. Well, if you really stop to think about it, Mark, it makes sense that there would be, because these caves are limestone caves, and so what ends up happening, and I've mentioned this before, but this part of North America used to be an inland sea. We used to have the Rocky Mountains on one side and the Appalachian Mountains on the other side, and there was this shallow inland sea that kind of covers the whole Midwest here, or the kind of the central North America, the middle west, whatever you want to call it, the area between the Rockies and the Appalachians, and all these animals, when they lived in the sea and they died in the sea, when they died, they settled to the bottom. They fossilized into this limestone that we have. And one of the things that you run into with limestone is it's really soft and really porous. So when water sits on top of it, it seeps into the limestone. And as it does, it becomes more acidic. Eventually, it accumulates in like a little crack and it begins dissolving away the limestone in that area, and it forms these caves. And so it makes sense that there'd be a lot of them here. There's also something I've heard about in Mexico that is supposedly like the world's largest geode that you can actually walk into, and the things probably the size of a 747. It's really hard to get into, though. They don't basically let civilians into it, and even if you do, it's like really unpleasant in there. It's like 140 degrees Fahrenheit, so you don't want to spend much time in there. Yeah, I'm always really observant of the speed limit when I'm going through those small towns. We'll bend it a little bit when we're out on the highway. San Antonio is a beautiful city. They've got a lot of the same issues you run into in blue cities. One of the things I kind of tried to hide when I was doing the river walk is there's a lot of homeless people living in there too. So I don't know. They're gonna have to figure because I understand this river walk is a relatively new thing. They're gonna have to decide whether they want to have that uh, be a beautiful place that people can go and escape, or if they want to be a homeless shelter. And we'll see what happens. Well, I think a lot of the issue, I don't think we have so many sinkholes anymore because it's all kind of dried out. Sinkholes generally happen when there's flowing water underneath that's eroding things from underneath. That's more common in like Florida, places that get a lot of rain and stuff like that. I mean, it's not that it doesn't happen. There's sinkholes in Texas also, but it's always interesting hearing the stories about how these caves were discovered. One of the ones I visited this week, there was just literally a sinkhole, and some kids went into the sinkhole and discovered this cave about 100 years ago, and you know nobody knew it was there. They knew the sinkhole was there, but nobody ever explored it. When I went to Interspace Caverns a few weeks ago, they discovered that because they were doing a core drill because they were getting ready to run the I-35 and they had to build a bridge over a train track, and so they did some core drills to figure out what was underneath there, and the drill kept falling off and falling into the hole. Yeah, I definitely love doing the back roads, Gene. It's just it's a nicer drive. I love going through those funky little small towns and seeing even getting out and walking around and looking seeing what they got. My grandmother used to live in a small town in Minnesota, and I love to go visit her because I love walking to the downtown and walking through the area. I just love the vibe. But see, that's what really causes, I think, a lot of the problem, Mark, is that rather than address the issue of homelessness and try and make homeless people not be homeless anymore, um, we just throw money at it. We just sustain the problem. We don't do anything to fix it. Yeah, rest in peace, Robert Redford. That was a couple weeks ago, but that was a great one. I don't think anybody has mentioned that. I just realized I got my incense burner all ready to go and I didn't light the incense. I'm slipping in my old age, people. Sorry. Please excuse me. Much better. Gotta have it smell pretty around here, right? Hey, Darth. The trip was good, Darth. I saw a lot of fun things. I'm glad I went. And I'm glad I actually decided to go down there and stay for a few days. In the past, the trip has been, I think last year when I went to Houston, I basically went and spent the night in Houston, did the Johnson Space Center, and then came home. So, I actually spent 3 nights there, and that was kind of fun. 4 nights, actually, if I think about it, because I came back on Wednesday. I did see Pee Wee's bike. They moved it out of the basement, though. It's in the museum now. You'll have to wait. That video's coming up. No, wait, no, no, that video has gone live, hasn't it? Because that's on the Alamo one. Yeah, it looked really cool too. Meow. No, there was a rope around it. They didn't let you get anywhere near it. Yeah, look who's back. I shot a couple pictures of it, though. Let me see if I can pull them up here. What was that? Oh, I know. The teddy bear just did a backflip off the couch, didn't he? Let's see. Yeah, there's me in the bike right there. That's as close as I could get to it. Yeah, they said that this was one of the stunt bikes, whatever that means. I'm guessing there was probably one that was used for looks and one that was used for riding, and that was probably one of the riding ones. No, I last week would have been my rock shop week, and I bailed right out of here and went to San Antonio. So nothing new to share at this point. I did try and find some rock shops down in San Antonio, um, and there were like 3 or 4 of them down there, but I don't know what it is. Rock shops must just be closed on Mondays and Tuesdays because even Cara over at Gallery 11 is closed on like Mondays and Tuesdays. So Every place I went, they weren't open. It would have been fun to go see that, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a huge Pee Wee fan either. I don't think I watched the TV show very much. I've seen Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and I like him on some of the Cheech and Chong movies. He was great in that. But let's just say I know people who are bigger Pee Wee fans than I was. Ernest? No, I like Ernest. Ernest always made me laugh. Ernest P. Worrell. Know what I mean? Oh, I'm already done with the scaring for the year. Yeah, last night and the night before, that was my two nights at the silo this year. Had a good time though. You know, John always kind of apologizes having me out in the front, because you just don't get the scares out there. It's like I get the scares out there. I had a lot of fun. I think it's more scary when the people see you coming, and then they start getting a little nervous and they try and start moving to one side, and you start following them. And my gimmick is just to get right up next to them, get right in their face, and just stare at them. No, it wasn't really busy yet. That's that's a little disappointing, but you know what? That's the way it is in the first few weeks. Uh, John was saying that they had a good night last night, so that's good. I hope I it seemed like there were a lot of people around there. Depends on the kids. I see a lot fewer kids now these days. Now that they're doing the low scare events, because what John will do now is there'll be one or two nights where there won't be anybody. It'll just be the mazes, the haunted houses themselves, and there won't be anything in there. There won't be anybody in there. And so he calls those low scare nights. And then he'll have a few actors outside, who have their masks, who will put the masks on for pictures and stuff like that. But generally, it's very low key. So we're seeing fewer of the children, I think, coming in, because there are times where you'd see some parent dragging like an 8-year old kid through the maze, and the kid is crying hysterically over what's going on. That's just maybe not the best idea, I think. And I think John kind of picked up on that and said, yeah, let's do some low scare nights. And he's doing other things too. One of the things he's been doing also is behind the scene tours. Yeah, I pose for a lot of pictures. That's also one of the fun things when you're outside, is that you get to, the people come up and say, hey, can I take a picture? And so yeah, they're probably, I don't know, probably 100 people took pictures of me last night. I'll tell you who the target is. Like 90% of the time it's women. And that's another fun part about being outside and seeing them come out, and seeing them see you come, is that they is you can pick out right off the bat who your target's going to be, because you look for the one that's going and hiding behind somebody else, or moving to the back, or just like trying to get away from you. That's your target. And it's funny, I heard like 5 or 6 of them say, why isn't they always come after me? It's like I felt like saying, because you're the one that's sending off the vibes that you're the one that's afraid. you know we we can smell fear. It was funny. There were a couple of people that asked to take photos with me, and they were still afraid to approach me. I think it's a little crazy when you start seeing Halloween at Home Depot in August, but we start getting into the Halloween season in October, and I don't have my Halloween stuff up. I might put a couple things up, but most of the stuff, doesn't go up until day of. And as usual, I took Halloween and the day after Halloween off of work. I got to go back to work on Thursday this week, uh, and then we're back into normal production again. No, I haven't gotten anything new this year for the Halloween. I'm just going to probably stick with the same stuff I had last year. But last year included that creepy animatronic thing that was very popular. So I'll tell you, the next thing I want is a lightning and a thunder machine. There's one I was looking at. In fact, I bought it last year, and something happened, and it got discontinued or back ordered or something like that. And they ended up canceling my order, and I ended up instead buying that animatronic thing. But yeah, I would love to have a really high tech lightning and thunder generator. In fact, here I'll show you some of the stuff. Hang on a second, because I can show you some of this stuff. Some of this stuff is fun. Let's see, we're going there. All right, okay, we're loaded. Okay, so this is the Fright Pops website. I learned about this from John. This is where John gets a lot of his animatronic stuff. Specifically, let's see, Thunder and Lightning. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Let's see. It's this thing here that I want to get to load the thing up. It's just a little teeny tiny box, and you plug your speakers into it, and you plug your lights into it, and it's a very really kind of high end thing because what it'll do is you can make it so there's a delay between the light and the sound, like actually happens on Thunder. You can make it really random. So yeah, like I said, I tried buying one of these a couple years ago, or well, last year, and they refunded my money at the time because they didn't have. I guess they couldn't get it or whatever the issue was here. So let's see. Let's go back home. We'll show you some of the fun stuff that they have here. La, 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 la. Pneumatics. Yeah, look at some of these fun things that you can get. Body parts. See, that's something similar to what I have right there. That'd be kind of cool. What do those cost? Not that one. There was one that looked like he was rotted. That's kind of gross. I don't see the one that they had on the cover. Oh well. Enough of that frivolity. I don't know. I've been seeing something at HEB. It's one of those big giant spider webs, but this one glows under a black light. And so I've been thinking it'd be fun to do that because I'm doing a lot with black lights in my yard. And so get a big nasty spider web in front of the house with a big giant ugly spider on it. To be really good though, the tarantulas would have to move around in the yard. See if somebody would come up with one. They got those lawnmowers, little automated lawnmowers that you can program what the boundary of your yard is, and it'll just move all over the place and all that. If they could use the same kind of mechanism and put some creepy spider on it that would crawl across the yard, that would look really cool. Already got squirrels. And the truth is, if there's going to be any issue with the squirrels, it's going to be a very temporary one because it wouldn't be up very long. That'd be one of those things that would go up day of maybe. Honestly, I have not put the squirrel house up yet. It's still in the garage. The problem is I got to figure out how to get it hoisted up the tree because it's got to go way up. They say it should be like 25 feet up. So uh, we'll get it up into a tree at some point. I'm experimenting with a new idea with getting Halloween props up into the trees this year, and I may end up adapting that to do this. Because the thing is, I got to get up on the extension ladder to do that, and that thing isn't cheap, or it is not. It isn't cheap. It isn't light. It's pretty heavy, and so I'm thinking, bringing a 25 pound box up a ladder, that just sounds like that's going to be really dangerous. So I got to figure out some way to get it up there and still keep my hands free, so I can keep my hands on the ladder. Yeah, I got a couple neighbors that have Halloween up too. Yeah, they got these like 10 or 12-foot tall skeletons that you can buy at Home Depot. I don't know. I like things that look more real and more scary. And a 10-foot tall skeleton, that doesn't look real. It looks like a 10-foot tall skeleton. You like my Alamo cider? I didn't know I made Alamo cider. That actually isn't a bad idea, Susan. But I'm thinking like some sort of little pulley or something like that up above where I want it to be, where I can be on the ground and pull it up to the top, get it up to the level, then kind of go up there and attach it to the tree and then disconnect. Yeah, something like that, like a clothesline pulley, exactly. Because I have a similar mechanism. I've put eye bolts in specific locations on the trees in the front yard now. And so what I can do is just rather than having to climb the tree and put stuff up there, I have a big long pole. I'll put this ring on the end of a pole and I put the pole, I'll loop the ring over the hook, and then I could use the pulley that's on there to pull the stuff up into the tree. And I like that a lot better because I don't know, I'm not really a child anymore, and a fall from a tree like that's not going to probably be very good for me. So, and those trees are a little scary too because they're very flexible. The wood bends a lot, so you're up there and the wind starts blowing. It's like the ladders going back and forth, and it's like, no, that's just not for me. I've risked that enough. I love the fact that I have the big trees because they're great for Halloween props, but I either got to do a better way of doing that, or I'm going to have to break down and buy like a scissor lift each time I put those things up there, and that's not cheap. Yeah, there we go. Get the pool to break my fall. My luck is I'll land on the wall of the pool though. See, I like it when people kind of do themed Halloween stuff. You know, a lot of people they do just kind of just kind of a mass conglomeration of themes. You know, just like I'm gonna put everything I can find. Oh, that's a Halloween thing. Let's get that, put that out there. It doesn't matter whether it makes sense or anything. I tend to like, I do the haunted house or cemetery mainly kind of theme. All the graves out there, the skeletons. Oh, you've done more business with Kara? That's cool. Send a picture. I want to see it. I keep meaning to talk to Kara about you. Yeah, Kara's been doing a lot of jewelry sales lately. Definitely send a picture, Susan. I'd like to see it because Kara does some, gets some nice stuff. She doesn't do any of the crafting of the jewelry. She does like bracelets and stuff like that. But uh, she's getting the other stuff. I think she has like suppliers that have a lot of that stuff. I didn't really see a lot of military personnel at the Grit River Walk. I was only really there. Well, I mean, I went there the night I shot the vlog, and I went there earlier in the day to kind of scope out the area, figure out where everything was and what the big deal of it was. But no, I didn't really see any military personnel. It just seemed to be, couples and tourists. I did. I had some really good meals there. There was a place right across from the Alamo called the Crockett Hotel, and the Crockett Hotel had a bar and grill, and I had a couple of meals there that were really, really good. Definitely recommended that. And then I did breakfast at Johnny Rockets one morning, or no, I'm sorry, dinner at Johnny Rockets one night, and that was good. I've always kind of liked that place. That's a fun burger place. Bed was nice. I slept really well. Like I said, I splurged a little bit this time. Got a nice hotel and went all out. Valet parking, eating at restaurants at night. Yeah, it would have been fun to see Vinay. I don't know about that, Darth. This was fun though. I'm glad I went to see this, and it just shows what I can do here in Texas that's within a day's travel, because it was about a 3.5 hour drive to San Antonio. So I blew out of here after the live stream last week, and still got there when it was light, and actually walked out. After I got kind of checked into the hotel and all that, walked out and went over to the Alamo to see, just to kind of scope out the area initially. And so, yeah, that was fun. Oh, all sorts of delays on the freeway. I made the mistake of going down the interstate on the way there, and that was just a very boring, very frustrating drive because you go through Austin, you get all the traffic, you go through uh, San Antonio, you get all the traffic there, you get all the road construction that's always going on along the interstate. It was a really frustrating drive. So on the way back, I actually took kind of a roundabout way and took some of the smaller highways and went through some little towns and stuff like that. It was another hour on the road, but it was a way more pleasant drive. Oh yeah, Yellowstone is a gorgeous place. I've been there many times. That was something that was really popular with the family because of how close it was and how beautiful it was, and because friends of our family were just such huge fans of Yellowstone of of Yellowstone. Yeah, Old Faithful tends to do that. I'll tell you what I want to do is get footage of one of those weird, bizarre eruptions that no one is expecting, like that one that happened a few months ago at one of the water features. I think it was just a hot spring, and it just suddenly just exploded. I don't know if anybody's seen the picture of that or the video of that. Yeah, I was thinking, maybe when we get to the point where I go to Yellowstone, I'll have to do a live stream of the of Old Faithful going off. I could do that. Put the cell phone on a tripod. I did pick up a few souvenirs. What I've primarily been doing for souvenirs though is magnets. I've been doing a lot of that lately. So like for the last couple years when I've gone someplace, I've picked up magnets to kind of help me remember. And I figured that's a good thing that I could do that it doesn't take up a lot of room and it's kind of fun. So I didn't really waste a lot of money on souvenirs, but I did get some fun magnets. So not a Davy Crockett hat, um, but I did get an Alamo hat. So that's kind of cool. I don't know. Now I really look like a Texan, right? And that's a kind of a cool metal magnet I got from one of the caves I went to called Cave Without a Name. Didn't see any bats in there, but that was a cool. I thought that was a kind of a neat magnet. So I got that one, and I got that one. Let's see if we can for the Natural Bridge Caverns, and that was one of the caves I went into. And that's another one for Natural Bridge Caverns. That's the natural bridge that they're talking about right there. And then that's the entrance into the cave right there. So I got that one. And I got a couple from the Alamo. I like that one. And another one that I got from the Alamo, I thought that was really cool with the full moon and the lightning in the background. I think that's probably a composite image. I doubt that you're going to get lightning and a full moon uh, like that, especially with when it looks like the Alamo itself is lit up from the front. I don't know, but that was a cool one. And then this one was like a handmade one from Cave Without a Name, and so I decided to get that. I thought that looked kind of cool. Yeah, the one with the flag is cool too, the Texas flag. So yeah, that's pretty much all I did for souvenirs. Like I said, I like to. I started getting doing the magnet thing lately. I've been doing that kind of for the last couple of years, even maybe a little before that, because magnets that's really easy. You can just plop it on the refrigerator and you get that nice memory. And they don't take a lot of room. So if you're flying somewhere, it's not, oh crap, where am I going to put this thing? It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I can go in my pocket. That can go in this little pocket on the backpack or something like that. And you're ready to go. I didn't actually have any of the food at the Riverwalk. I just kind of walked around and I wanted to kind of see what the place was like. No, I didn't even get any beer. No, I didn't get any rocks either. I actually did one of the days I was out there, started looking around to see if there were any rock shops in town. And there were a few of them, but unfortunately, I don't know what it is, but it must just be a thing with rock shops that they're always closed on Mondays and Tuesdays because every one of them, that's how it is with Carrot too over at Gallery 11. She's closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. I guess that's when they go do their wholesale buying or whatever. The caves were fun. I mean, you know how much I love caves, and it was also kind of fun because they didn't have any issues of me filming in there. Sometimes, you run into problems. When I went to Longhorn Caverns, they wouldn't let me film in there. Oh yeah, there's about 5 or 6 more videos that haven't been posted yet. So I'm going to be able to take it easy for a few days here now. We're vlogged out for a bit. Um, at least 4, maybe 5 if I piece one together.